Ted Cruz. Everything is bigger in Texas, except your sad, soggy penis. Ted, of course, has put on a couple pounds over the past few years, but honestly, that's what happens when you're constantly eating Trump's ass.
The Republican Party is the party of steel workers and construction workers and pipeline workers and taxi cab drivers and cops and firefighters and waiters and waitresses and the men and women with calluses on their hands who are working for this country.
I want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene and the ridiculousness that she brings to her party.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's proof that the left and the right really can come together. I mean, just look at her eyes. I actually appreciate this woman because now I know what it would look like if I had a daughter with Mickey Rourke. Marjorie, she's of course anti-abortion, and sadly, so was her mom. Am I going too hard on poor Marjorie? Marjorie, she's had a rough week. I should be nice.
Today, Dr. Anthony Fauci testified in front of Congress today and ironically contracted rabies then. Terrible.
She actually, I know, Marjorie, you got swatted twice this week, which is terrifying, and I'm so sorry that happened to you. But let me just say, it really could not have happened to a dumber bitch. So,
It's a newer subject, but Obamacare is a disaster. And I said, we're gonna do something about it. I saved Obamacare.
Donald Trump still does not have a health care plan.
We have two plans coming out in a very short period of time. The plan is coming out over the next 4 weeks. Much better tell people what the plan is. Yeah, well, we'll be announcing that in about 2 months.
It's been some years since some of those clips, and still nothing. No plan.
Mr. Fauci, you were quoted on CBS Face the Nation saying it's easy to criticize, but they're really criticizing science because I represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci?
I am a scientist who uses the scientific method to gain information.
Yes, you said you represent science. Do you represent science, Mr. Fauci? Yes
Again,
or no? Yes or no?
No, that's not a yes or no
Yes,
answer.
it's a yes or no.
I don't think it is.
Okay, well, we'll take that as a you don't know what you represent.
Today, Donald Trump is at his strongest ever. And if these trends hold, he could help lead the GOP to a sweep, the White House and both houses of Congress.
Feel about vaccines like I feel about tests. This is going to go away without a vaccine. And the China plague will fade.
And now titans of the business world, so sanctimoniously who they shunned him after the Floyd riots, they're beginning to prepare for a Trump second term as well. They're rushing in to signal their support.
Plowing, you fools.
You made up the COVID rules, including
I didn't hear what you
6
said.
feet social distancing and masking of children.
I never said I made anything up.
You admitted that you made it up. You
I
made it
didn't
up
say
as you went.
I made it up.
So are you saying this is fake news, Mr. Fauci?
I didn't say I made anything up.
But you also told the American people they had to distance by 6 feet. They had to wear masks. But let's also talk a little bit further about the type of science that you represent. NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers.
That bitch is cray. But that's not really what this video is about. It's about Dr. Fauci. That evil son of a bitch that gave us all COVID.
My view is the school should open. This thing's going away.
Doesn't work well for a disease that's rapidly killing themselves and their friends and their loved ones.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
So my interaction and my response to them, as I often get asked, is dramatically different than someone on the basis of no evidence accuses you of killing people, or that scene of Marjorie Taylor Greene at the hearing. I mean, come on.
Independent agencies, but they're not independent of the earth and the planet. I mean, as the administration comes in, it's insanity.
The whole notion of independent agencies is anathema for the standpoint of the Constitution.
Disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection? A lot of people are taking, a lot of frontline workers are taking hydroxychloroquine.
Is it right for scientists and doctors getting paid by the American people, government taxpayer paychecks, to get patents and making up guidelines like 6 feet distancing and masking of children? Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor, you're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci,
objection.
I reclaim my
Mr.
time.
Objection.
I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time, Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order.
just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Yes, because in my time, that man does not deserve to have a license. As a matter of fact, it should be revoked, and he belongs in
Gentlelady will
prison.
suspend. The gentlelady should recognize the doctor as.
So all Democrats can do is respond with the same old unconvincing lines that they've already tried and they've already failed with.
It's going away, and it's probably going to go away now a lot faster because of the vaccine. It would go away without the vaccine, George.
Not respected.
I've instructed her to address him as doctor.
I'm not
Gentlelady
addressing
shall
him as
continue.
doctor. Let's talk about. Let's talk about this. I'm reclaiming my time.
What the fuck is wrong with these people? Do Republicans actually believe that Dr. Fauci created COVID? Or is it just the nuttiest of the nutters?
Yeah, isn't it grand? So it's time for everyone now in the GOP to acknowledge that Trump was right.
It will go away. You know it is going away.
Guilty of mass murder. I mean, Fauci he's an absolute monster. He should have his medical license revoked, and he should be charged and tried for crimes against humanity.
Newt calls him big government socialist. I think Newt is right. Crazy stuff. A lawsuit.
And he's delivered tangible results, all while being hilarious and entertaining.
I realize that's a huge portion of the Republican Party, but I have a feeling there might be a few Republicans who think that bitch is fucking cray.
And if Trump wins, 150 years from now, this will be referred to as the age of Trump. He dominates the policy debate in ways that no one has done since Reagan. It's not even close.
Breathtaking failure. There's never been anything. Nobody's ever seen anything like this.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a point of order.
Mr.
Because
Griffin
they
is
accused us
Mr.
of
Griffin is
worshiping
Gentlelady
President
will-
Trump. We
Gentlelady-
don't worship President Trump.
Gentlelady will suspend.
And if this new coalition becomes a governing coalition, well, it can be in power for 50 years.
This was a time in history where you got to throw out the first pitch at the Washington Nationals baseball game while Americans were forced to stay home and watch such events that they love from at home alone on their televisions. And what a hypocrisy this picture shows. Here you are without your mask, with empty seats everywhere. Remember the cardboard cutout fans? That was one of the most insulting things to Americans, having to watch the games from home where you got to go and enjoy the game and sit right next to people. And your science here, your science is displayed perfectly in this picture where children in school were put in plastic bubbles because of your science, your repulsive, evil science.
What is conspiracy is the kind of distortions of that particular subject, like it was a lab leak and I was parachuted into the CIA like Jason Bourne.
Dr. Fauci is the reason why people are living with AIDS now, as opposed to dying of AIDS. Dr. Fauci is the reason why people can get HIV now and not get AIDS. Dr. Fauci is the reason why your daughter doesn't have AIDS.
But yet children all over America were forced to wear masks. Healthy children forced to wear masks, muzzled in their schools. And then they were forced to learn from home because of your so-called science. And
sidebar, he just happens to be the reason why your daughter doesn't have COVID.
Your medical suggestions, while you and all your cronies get paid from Big Pharma.
Dr. Fauci, the president, just said that hydroxychloroquine is, the end all. And I'll say, no, I'm really sorry, but that's anecdotal, and there's no information that it actually works. That was painful to me to have to do that, but there was no doubt that I had to do it.
That you have to have appointees inside of all of these agencies, from the agency head to the chiefs of staff on down to the public affairs officers, who are committed to executing the lawful agenda of the democratically elected president of the United States. And if you have instances and you have cases where federal bureaucrats are engaging in behavior that is not lawful, that is not consistent with it, then by definition, of course, those individuals are going to have to be reassigned, they're going to have to be removed.
And I'll tell you what it's about. It's about Donald Trump being convicted of a felony.
We don't need votes. We got more votes than anybody's ever had.
So, we gotta talk about how somebody else should be a felon.
Black population.
How somebody else committed crimes against humanity.
We should be writing a criminal referral because you should be prosecuted for crimes against humanity.
Bitch, do you know what English words actually mean?
You belong in prison, Dr. Fauci.
I can get you a dictionary, but I fear you can't read.
I think today, this particular has been full of lies and disregard and disrespect, and we need to stick to facts.
She can spout all the crap she wants. My God.
Does it concern you that that U.S. taxpayer dollars would be going to someone who's a high-ranking Chinese PLA official? Yes or no?
I would have to know more about that, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
because I don't even
Well,
know
it
the
concerns
person
me.
you're talking about.
Before, during, or after the COVID-19 pandemic, did you speak to the FBI, CIA, DIA, or any U.S. intelligence agency concerning viral research of any kind?
What time frame are you talking about, sir?
I said before, during, or after the COVID-19 pandemic.
Dr. Fauci, how much have you earned from royalties from pharmaceutical companies since the pandemic began in 2021?
0.
I realize that there's quite a few people that believe that Dr. Fauci was getting kickbacks so that he could kill 1 million Americans and secretly rake in the cash. Little tidbit. Dr. Fauci, at his NIH job, makes $500,000 a year.
It says NIH scientists made $710 million in royalties from drug makers. You're saying that you did not receive any of the $710 million.
On COVID, I think $122 for a monoclonal antibody that I made 27 years ago.
Okay, so just in general, though, how much have you received, not related to COVID, just in general, how much have you received in royalties between 2021 and 2023?
I think none.
That doesn't happen. Instead, what the president does, he takes him into this little ante room off the Oval Office, and he looks at the TV screens, and he looks at Fauci, and he says, will you get a load of these ratings? These ratings are incredible.
He didn't get any kickbacks, and he wouldn't need them. The motherfucker's already rich, y'all.
80% of voters want these reforms, they want these changes in government, and Donald Trump will not let a bureaucracy stop him from implementing that popular agenda Americans want.
The people who throw darts at me, think badly of me, but I'm fundamentally a pretty humble person. And I know and can evaluate my limitations. And I can tell you when I feel I'm not able to leave it all on the court, then I'll walk off the court.
You have to wonder how goofy the Democrats are to oppose them all.
Unlike Donald Trump, he actually has the money that he says he has, and has released his entire financial record, has done so every year since forever. Y'all are lying, and you know it.
That any of those royalties, this nearly billions of dollars, should be going back to the American taxpayer, not in the pockets of the scientists. Do you believe that's a law that we should consider changing?
If you want to change the patent laws and the Bayh-Dole Act, then go ahead.
But this had nothing to do with Fauci. This had nothing to do with anything. It had to do with Fox News. not having anything to air. So by God, here you go, some red meat. You give them a good hearing like this, and man, they can fill 5 or 6 shows. Hell, maybe even for 2 days, maybe 10, maybe even 3, maybe 15 shows. They can wrap up with the expose on Dr. Fauci.
It could end up changing the world. And most importantly for us, for our kids, our grandkids, saving America.
You guys go get them. I tell you what, y'all are a bunch of badasses, and you keep doing what you're doing. It seems like things are going great. I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
Say, Trump is becoming old and senile, and Trump doesn't want to imitate him anymore. I don't care. You can say I'm old and senile, because I'm not. I am old, but I'm not senile and senile, because I'm not. I am old, but I'm not senile.
He took a cognitive test, and I aced it. Doc Ronnie Johnson. Does everyone know Ronnie Johnson?
He nailed his job, and then his first name. Then things went south.
Johnson.
Oh, what a shame.
Hey, subscribe, please. It would really help me out. I'll never ask for money. I just want you to subscribe. If people subscribe, more people see it. And if you like the video, that really helps me out. If you share the video, that even helps me out more. If you share the video and somebody likes it, well, I might have to do some services.
Nukes to this fall after all that we've heard.
Tanzania.
That's not a word.
Diversity.
That's not a word.
Inevitable.
That's not a word.
Extinctionary.
These are not words.
I love Ronnie Johnson. Doc Ronnie Johnson. He gave me the test, then I went home to my beautiful wife, malaria, and